Hey everyone, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar. Today I'm here with a gear review slash showcase of my personal favorite guitar in my collection. I play this one all the time live. I love it for the rock and the metal stuff especially. And it's kind of funny because this is actually my second version of this guitar. The first one got stolen. I bought the first one years ago and I put decals on it and I upgraded the pickups and the bridge and I played it a lot live, but I didn't really appreciate it until it got stolen out of my storage space. So I held out hope that they were going to find it, but they never did. And so I ended up looking online recently and I was very fortunate to find this guitar. It said it was used, but when I picked it up, it actually had a lot of the plastic shrink wrapping on it. So I feel like whoever bought it just bought it, let it sit around, never played it, and then decided to sell it. So it's practically new. So I thought I would do this review before I did all the modifications to this one, just so you can kind of see it pretty much right out of the box. A quick side note, back when I got the first version of this guitar, I liked it so much that I bought a black version of it as well. And I don't know if I just got a lemon in the bunch or something, but it ended up not being as high a quality. And I actually ended up using it really for parts for the white guitar, which is kind of weird, but I can't really speak on any of the other guitar colors in this series, only the metallic pearl white ones. When I got the first guitar, my expectations were pretty low because I thought, you know what, it's a mid-range guitar, it's made in Indonesia, it's not like a USA soloist model or anything like that. But I thought maybe I could upgrade it a little bit and get it up to a higher quality. And doing that actually made me more into a mid-range guitar enthusiast. I kind of like getting, not paying too much for a guitar, but then doing a few little modifications to it and making it a great guitar. That's kind of my new thing. The body of this guitar just fits me really well. It's contoured everywhere I like it to be. So when I sit down, I love this contour. I think everybody does. It has the forearm contour, and I like that because on my Les Paul it can get a little bit sharp when it cuts into my forearm. Little things like that can get annoying if you're playing for a long period of time, so I feel like this one just kind of melts into my body. It's made out of basswood, and it's actually 8.5 pounds. I bought one of those fish scales in order to weigh my guitars, and that's what it came up as. So that weight is perfect for me. It's not so light that I feel like I'm not carrying a guitar around, and it's not so heavy that it pulls on my shoulder after a 3-hour concert. That could actually be pretty painful. So 8.5 to me is the perfect midpoint. This is a maple neck, 25.5 inch, and it has a compound radius, which is really cool because it's different down here than it is up here. So it makes playing open chords and everything down here very comfortable, but it also allows me to shred when I get to the higher frets, which I really like the feeling of. For some reason, this neck just always feels slick, and I'm able to bend strings easily, and it almost makes playing too easy sometimes. But I prefer that because in concert, you're going to find out when I tell you about all the other specs, I don't like to worry about anything going wrong, and I don't want my guitars to fight me. It has 24 jumbo frets, and I really love shark fin inlays. Some people don't, but when I was learning guitar in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of the guitar players that I liked had the shark fin inlays. So I kind of get nostalgic when I play these, and it's a good feeling. The body, the paint job is great, very smooth. It has the glossy neck in the back, so there's some gloss to it. But it's not as bad as some glossy neck guitars that I play. I made videos before where I talk about when you play live and there's a lot of maybe like you're under the sun and it's kind of getting warm. Sometimes a glossy neck can make your thumb stick as you're playing and it makes playing more difficult. This one isn't as bad as most glossy necked guitars, but I think if I had my choice, I'd sand it down a little bit and make it a little bit more dull because I prefer that feel. By the way, I think it's kind of funny when people use words like pearloid inlays because it's not really pearl. But it's kind of like saying pleather for leather. It has a recessed bridge, which is great because then you could pull up on the trem bar. And if you're ever doing like Steve Vai type stuff, or you just want to do some really cool vibrato effects with your trem bar, it's great to be able to pull up on it. So I like the recessed bridge. I played a lot of Ibanez's in my day, so I'm used to that. It comes with a Floyd Rose Special bridge, and they're good, but I've had some bad experiences in the past where I maybe tighten with the Allen wrench a little too much and it strips out. So I ordered a Floyd Rose Original, and I'm going to put that in, take this one out, and I won't have to worry about that anymore. That being said though, if you don't over tighten your Allen wrenches on specials, they're actually really decent bridges. I put it to the test. I was doing some insane whammy bar stuff. I actually picked it up by the whammy bar one time, and then I tested it and it stayed in tune perfectly. So it passes that test. It comes with a 5-way pickup selector, which I'm used to the feel of that. So I don't know, it's just comfortable for me to use. Sometimes when there's the 3-way switch, it just feels like there's too much distance between selections. And that kind of feels weird to me. I played a lot of strats in my day, so this 5-way selector just feels natural. This is gonna sound a little weird, but after my first Jackson got stolen, I tried to replace it. And I bought a Charvel 425 Desert Crackle off of this guy. And it's a great guitar all around. It almost has the same look and the same kind of specs, but it has 3 knobs. And so every time I would play, the volume knob was up here, closer to the pickup. I would accidentally hit it, and during a concert one time, I was like, why does my sound kind of weird? And I felt down, and all of a sudden I realized that I was at 50% with my volume knob. So the fact that this volume knob's pulled back to here really helps out. And then there's only a tone knob back here that I have to think about. So the 2-knob configuration is perfect for me. I stopped using strap locks a while ago. I was actually having some bad luck with them where they'd come undone during concerts. I thought that was kind of weird because the whole point to having strap locks is for them never to do that. So I really like that these are a little bit wider. So I could just use a standard strap. I don't have to add anything to it. And I'm guaranteed that it's going to hold up because of how wide that is. Even if the strap gets really twisted up, this thing's not just gonna pop off most likely. I love this output. It has a metal plate already added to it. You don't have to upgrade it. Some of them come with plastic, some cheaper guitars. And so you'll play for a while and this will inevitably get bumped or you'll set it down wrong or something. And all of a sudden you have a crack going across the plate. I really hate that. So I was glad that this came with the metal plate. It's a little bit recessed here and then you can plug it in off the side. And I prefer this over the Ibanez design, which is angled upward. So you actually plug it in downward because they figure if you're standing up and you put the cable up over your strap, it's gonna naturally wanna go that direction. But if you're sitting down and playing, it looks really weird. I also like it when guitars have the front output going on. That's totally fine. That's like my SG has that. But besides that, I really like this traditional side output. Now, like I mentioned, I'm going to be upgrading the pickups in this guitar. So right now, these have Duncan design pickups. These are hot rails up here. They sound pretty good. So those are HR 101 hot rails. And back here we have the Duncan Design HB 103B humbucker. And it can scream. So I use this guitar a lot for the Heart Tribute Band. Once I upgrade these pickups and change the bridge up and all that, I'll do a follow-up video so you can kind of see the before and after. But I wanted you to see that the pickups that come with the guitar are actually pretty decent. I'm not too concerned about the tuners. They look very standard, and even if they weren't that great, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm using a locking nut system. So I really only need to get them in tune one time, then I lock them, and then these don't really matter anymore. It's just all about the fine tuners at that point. But I've never had trouble with these tuners. They're always smooth. They always hold up. You know, they never feel like they're getting rusty or anything like that. So no complaints there. My friend got excited when I told him I bought a new Jackson, and he asked if I had the reverse headstock Jackson. And I'm like, no, and I don't like those. I think it's just because one of my earlier guitars was the pointing down models, and I just got used to the feel of how to tune with this style. I borrowed somebody's reverse headstock once and I was doing this kind of stuff and it just felt really awkward. And I just prefer the way it looks. It just has a flow to it when it points downward, especially with this Jackson logo. It just looks right going downward. Plus, if anyone ever rushed the stage and tried to attack me, it turns into a really good weapon. I'm just kidding. One thing that I like to do whenever I set up my guitar for my own personal preference is I rarely use the middle pickup if it comes with a 3 configuration like this. So I actually take it and I either take it out or I get a screwdriver and I just make sure it's as low to the body as possible. So if you take a look, you'll see that the front pickup and the humbucker are at a certain level, but I try to get this middle pickup as low as possible. That's because when I pick the way I pick, sometimes I like to really dig in with my pick and it can actually hit the pickup, and I don't like that feeling. I'd rather have nothing there to interfere with my picking, and so I like to do that whenever there's a middle pickup. So that kind of brings us to, if I had my own signature guitar, it would basically be this guitar, except a few little changes. I would, instead of having the decals that I will have soon, stuck on, I would have them painted on. I would have it come standard with a Floyd Rose original bridge. I would also like one of those 0-point spring systems that Ibanez's have, because when you have the standard floating bridge system, when you bend, some of you guys will know this, when you bend the third string, the other strings drop down a little bit. So if you ever do like the country bend, like I call it, it could be a little bit out of tune because it's pulling the other strings down as you bend. Check it out. Isn't that a strange phenomenon? So I don't like that, so I'd love to get the 0-point put into my custom guitar. Like I mentioned earlier, I would take a little bit of the gloss off the back of the neck, so it's a little bit more maybe like the Ibanez necks. I like the way those feel. They're more semi-gloss. I would get rid of the center pickup and it would just be the body. And I would like that a little better because maybe I could get a decal in there too. I don't know, I'm crazy about decals sometimes. And now somebody gave me a lot of grief for saying this in one of my guitar reviews, but I really like it when guitars have the little Allen wrench holder built in. This one does not have it. So I think I'm going to take one from my other guitar and put it on this one, since this is the one I'm going to use live mostly. The guy who gave me grief about it had never played live before, so I didn't really take his opinion too seriously. When you're on stage and you find that you're out of tune and you're out of real estate with your fine tuners, if you guys have ever used a locking nut system, you know what that's like. When you're about to go on stage and you're kind of panicking, it's like, uh-oh. It's nice to look behind the headstock and see that you have the very tool that you need to tune sitting right there for you. So while I was writing up the review for this guitar, I realized that a big part of my preferences for guitars is their reliability and the fact that I don't have to worry about certain things live. That's the reason why I'm glad this guitar does not have active pickups going on, and the one that I'm going to replace it with does not either. I just don't like to worry about a battery going dead. So because I played so many shows and I've been in so many situations, I've seen so many things go wrong that I just want to be able to get rid of those if possible, so that I can focus more on being confident on stage and playing the music, which matters most to me. So that's it. This is my favorite guitar, the mid-range made in Indonesia Jackson SL3X Metallic Pearl White. Okay, thanks again everyone. We'll catch you at the next video. Bye-bye.